Your too late is someone else's just starting. Your missed chance is another's doorway. The thing you think is gone forever, someone else will pick it up, dust it off, and make it a crown. And while you are busy telling yourself that the race is already over, somebody is tying their shoes. Not with music blasting, not with the perfect plan, not with fireworks in the sky, just tying them, quietly, steadily, ready to take one step, then another. Do you hear that sound? It's not applause, it's not the roar of a crowd. It's the whisper of a single foot hitting the ground. It's the breath of someone who decided that too late is a lie. Here's what the quitters never learn. The people you look at and call lucky, the ones you swear have something in their blood that you don't, are often just the ones who didn't stop when it got uncomfortable. The ones who kept pushing when the air got thick. The ones who understood that pain isn't a stop sign, it's a mile marker. Everyone wants the highlight reel, the jump cuts, the swelling music, the victory pose. But the truth is, success doesn't reward the flashy. It rewards the stubborn. It rewards the one who wakes up in the dark and moves before the sun even knows it's morning. It rewards the one who doesn't flinch when the sparkle wears off, because the sparkle will wear off, the excitement will drain. That thing that felt electric at the start will one day feel like nothing more than another item on your list. That's when most people fold. That's when they tell themselves, I guess it wasn't meant to be. But meant to be is a fairy tale for people who are afraid to bleed for something. Do you want to know the battlefield truth? The ones who make it, the ones whose names are whispered with respect, and are the ones who know how to keep marching when the flags are torn, the boots are heavy, and the rain soaks through your bandages, stinging half-healed wounds. They don't wait for lightning in the sky. They build a fire in their chest. Talent, it's a spark. Grit, that's the fuel. Consistency, that's the engine. And discipline is the commander in the trenches. It's the voice that says, get up when your body says stay down. It's the voice that says, we do it again, when your mind says, we've done enough. It's the voice that says, I know it's hard. We do it anyway. It's easy to train when it's fun. It's easy to work when you feel like working, but the battlefield is never easy. The battlefield is mud and cold and long nights where your eyelids feel like anchors. It's mornings where the alarm feels like an insult. It's the weight of repetition pressing on your shoulders. And yet, that's where victory is born. Not in the first spark, not in the applause, but in the boring middle, in the days that look exactly like the days before them, in the unseen hours. You think champions only exist under bright lights? No. Champions are built in empty rooms, in silence so loud it feels like it's pressing against your skin. In the 1,000 little decisions no one will ever see. The decision to train when no one's watching. The decision to study when no one's clapping. The decision to move when it feels like standing still would be so much easier. Consistency is a code. A quiet oath you take when no one's looking. A promise. I will not break no matter how small the step. Because here's the hard truth. You don't rise because you feel like it. You rise because you said you would. And that promise, to yourself, to your future, that's what makes the difference between almost and achieved. Motivation is a visitor. It knocks, sometimes loud, sometimes quiet, but it never stays. Discipline is a tenant. It lives in your bones. It pays its rent with sweat. And when motivation is gone, when the music stops and the air feels stale, discipline says, we're not done. Discipline says, again. Discipline says, one more rep, one more page, one more step. The truth? You won't always win the day. There will be mornings when the bed wins, evenings when the couch calls louder than your goals. But you don't need perfection. You need persistence. You need the slow, relentless hammer of effort, striking the same stone until it cracks. Drop by drop, that's how the stone splits, that's how the wall is broken. There's no drum roll for the small win. No banner in the sky for the day you show up when you don't want to. But the small wins stack, quietly, invisibly, until one day, you're standing somewhere you once thought was impossible. This is where most people get it wrong. They chase novelty. They look for a new trick, a faster way, the next big thing. But the real game is repetition. The unglamorous, unshakable habit of showing up in the same way, day after day. Rising is your shadow growing taller while others sleep. Think of water on stone. Not a torrent, not a flood, just a drip. Drip, drip, day after day, year after year. It looks like nothing is happening. Until one day the stone is split. That's how you split the stone of your limits. Not with a lightning strike, but with the gentle brutality of persistence. The world will test you in silence. It will not ask, "Are you ready?" It will simply watch. And the days you choose to show up, even when you have every excuse not to, those are the days you're building the power you'll need for the moment that matters. Nobody talks about this part. The middle, the mud. The space between the first spark of excitement and the visible breakthrough. It's lonely here, it's quiet here, and it's the most important place you'll ever stand. Because here, every step is a seed, and the harvest will come. But only if you keep planting. You may think, it's just one day, missing won't matter. But every day matters, every brick matters when you're building a wall. Every stroke matters when you're painting a masterpiece. You don't get to choose the moment your work becomes undeniable, but you do get to choose whether you keep showing up until it does. So when you feel tired, when you feel slow, when you feel invisible, remember, you're not building for today's applause. You're building for tomorrow's crown. And the crown belongs to the consistent, to the disciplined, to the ones who march on when the world has gone to sleep. This is your oath, your battle cry, your code, little by little, step by step, day by day, brick by brick. It sounds humble, it sounds fragile, but don't be fooled. Those words carry the weight of kingdoms because that's how the unshakable are made. That's how legends grow from nothing but dust and hunger, not in leaps, not in flashes, but in the slow burn. The little by little philosophy isn't glamorous. It won't go viral. It won't earn you a stadium of cheers on day one, because the first breakthrough always looks invisible to the naked eye. It's in the quiet shift, when the thing that once felt impossible starts to feel routine. When you stop negotiating with yourself, when you realize you've stopped asking, "Should I do this?" and started saying, "This is just what I do." At first, discipline feels like a cage. It feels like rules and restrictions. But one day, if you keep going, you realize it was never a cage. It was the key. It was the thing that gave you freedom from the constant push and pull of your own emotions. And then comes the reputation, not the public one, the one you have with yourself. The quiet power of knowing, if I say I'll do it, I'll do it. That's when your reflection in the mirror starts looking back at you with respect. People will notice eventually. They'll start asking you for advice. They'll say, "I wish I had your discipline." They won't understand the nights you felt like quitting. They won't see the mornings you dragged your body through the fog. All they'll see is the result. They'll call it talent. They'll call it luck. They'll never understand it was simply this. You stayed when others left. And you will feel the shift inside you. Because when you've built yourself brick by brick, there's a kind of power that doesn't need to shout. It's a steady pulse under your skin, a certainty, a weapon forged in repetition. You become immovable. That's the first breakthrough. Not a medal, not a paycheck, not applause. It's the realization that quitting is no longer an option, because showing up has become part of who you are. But once you taste that breakthrough, the real battle begins. Because now the challenge is deeper, the stakes are higher, and the enemy changes shape. In the beginning, the enemy was resistance, the temptation to stop before you started. Now the enemy is comfort, the ease that creeps in once you've proven you can do it. This is where many fall. They climb the first hill and think they've conquered the mountain. They mistake a single victory for the war. But greatness is a daily verb. It's not a moment you capture and hang on the wall. It's something you do again and again and again. The day you stop, it fades. The day you stop, the edge dulls. Compounding power is the secret the world doesn't teach you. You've heard of compound interest with money, but effort compounds too. Each day you show up, you're not just adding one more brick, you're stacking momentum. You're multiplying your future. At first, the curve is flat. The gains are almost invisible. But if you persist, if you refuse to leave, the curve bends upward. The same work that once took everything in you becomes easier. You're stronger, you're faster, and each step builds on the last, creating an unstoppable force. It's like pushing a heavy wheel. At the start, every inch feels impossible. Your hands ache, your back strains, the wheel barely moves. But if you keep pushing, something happens. It starts to turn on its own. It gathers speed. Momentum becomes your ally. This is why you don't stop. Because the first part is the hardest. Because the compounding effect is invisible until it's undeniable. But here's the dangerous part. Once momentum starts to work for you, the temptation to slow down will creep in. You'll think, I've earned a break. You'll think, I'm ahead now. That's when discipline has to tighten its grip. Because the moment you start coasting, the wheel starts to slow. And once it slows, starting again will be harder than the first time. So you guard your habits like a fortress. You defend them against distraction. You protect them from the slow erosion of, I'll do it later. Some days you will feel unstoppable. Some days you will feel like you're dragging chains through mud. Do it anyway. Both days count the same in the ledger of greatness. Every repetition is a soldier in your army. Every choice to act is a strike against the enemy. And here's the truth. Most people never see the war this way. They see success as a crown you put on once. But it's not a crown. It's armor you put on every morning. And you never stop sharpening your blade, because the deeper you go, the more dangerous the battle becomes. You'll face exhaustion, self-doubt, and the slow poison of routine. But you'll also discover something you didn't know was there. A reservoir of strength so deep, it almost scares you. And once you've touched it, you'll know. You were never chasing success, you were chasing yourself. There comes a moment in every battle when the weight feels unbearable, when the armor digs into your shoulders, when the blade feels heavier than the day before, when the thought of taking even one more step feels like dragging a mountain behind you. This is the moment most warriors lay down their arms. They tell themselves, I've done enough. They start rewriting the story, convincing themselves they never wanted it that badly anyway. And they walk away. But for you, this is where the shift happens. This is the turning point. Because here's the secret. You don't have to conquer the whole mountain in one day. You don't have to win the war before sunset. You only have to do one thing, one small thing that moves you forward. That's the heart of the 5-minute rule. When you feel paralyzed, when the hill ahead feels like an impossible climb, tell yourself you only have to do it for 5 minutes. 5 minutes of training, 5 minutes of writing, 5 minutes of studying, just long enough to crack the frozen joints of resistance. Because once you start, the mind shifts. Once you get past the first breath, the first step, the first swing of the sword, momentum begins to move in your favor. And often, those 5 minutes turn into 10, 10 into 30, 30 into a full victory for the day. And if for some reason it really is just 5 minutes, it still counts. Because you didn't break the chain, that's the power. The chain must never break. You string enough days together, enough unbroken links, and you build a fortress of proof. Proof that you can rely on yourself. Proof that you are unshakable. But there's more. If you want to make discipline so natural it feels like breathing, you build it on the back of something you already do. That's habit stacking. You take something automatic, something you never forget to do, and you attach the new discipline to it. Brush your teeth. Do 10 push-ups right after. Make your morning coffee. Spend that time reviewing your goals. Close your laptop at night. Use the next 5 minutes to prepare your clothes for the morning workout. By attaching the new to the old, you turn discipline into muscle memory. You remove choice from the equation. And the less you leave up to choice, the less room there is for hesitation. Because hesitation is a killer. It whispers, maybe later. It waits until the fire cools and then it moves in to smother the coals. You counter hesitation with immediacy. You act before the mind can talk you out of it. You make the start so small, so quick, that there's no space for debate. And this is where the battlefield truth comes roaring back. You never lose if you never leave. Understand this. As long as you stay in the fight, you are not beaten. As long as you keep showing up, even battered, even limping, even crawling, you are not defeated. Defeat only comes when you walk off the field and never return. Yes, there will be seasons where progress feels invisible. Yes, there will be weeks where you question everything. But if you refuse to leave, the war is still yours to win. Do not romanticize the grind. It will hurt. It will bore you. It will test your patience in ways you didn't think possible. But the grind is where the treasures hide. Day after day, you lay another stone. You swing the hammer again. And though the wall may not fall today, every strike weakens it. The world calls it obsession. They mean it as an insult. Wear it as a crown. Obsession is the refusal to stop. Obsession is building when others are sleeping. Obsession is walking into the storm because you know the other side is worth it. And somewhere along the way, when your armor feels like skin, when your sword feels like an extension of your arm, you realize you've crossed a threshold. What was once a fight to stay in the game is now a refusal to leave it. That's when the war stops feeling like survival and starts feeling like destiny. There is a point in every long march where you can almost smell the finish. Not because it's right in front of you, but because something in your bones tells you the air has changed. You've been walking for so long that the rhythm is no longer forced. Your feet move without asking permission. The weight that once bent your back now sits there like it belongs. This is where momentum becomes your silent monster. You don't always see it in the moment. It's not loud. It doesn't announce itself with lightning bolts or fanfare. It just grows quietly, feeding off your consistency, devouring your excuses, thickening its armor every time you refuse to quit. At first, momentum feels fragile, like a fire that could be blown out by the slightest wind. But if you keep feeding it, if you guard it against the storms, it grows teeth. And then it starts doing the work for you. When you began, you had to push yourself into action. Now momentum pulls you forward. You wake up and move before your brain even catches up. The habits you fought to build now fight for you. And that's when something strange happens. People start to notice. They start asking where this sudden burst of progress came from. They'll say things like, "You've changed overnight. I don't know what happened, but you're on fire." You'll want to laugh, because there was nothing overnight about it. They didn't see the years you swung the hammer against the wall with no visible crack. They didn't hear the silence you fought through. They didn't stand with you in the cold mornings or sit beside you in the long empty nights. To them it's magic, to you it's math. One strike, then another, until the wall finally breaks. That moment, the wall-breaking moment, is violent in its beauty. One day the stone doesn't just crack, its stone explodes into dust that coats your teeth. The weight that's been holding you back collapses, and suddenly you can see through to the other side. The rush is unlike anything else. It's not just joy, it's vindication. It's every drop of sweat cashing in at once. It's every silent victory screaming in unison. But here's the trap. When you break through, the temptation to ease off will hit you like a wave. You'll think, "I've arrived." But momentum is not permanent. It's a living creature, and if you stop feeding it, it will die. So when the wall falls, you don't stop swinging. You turn and find the next wall, because the moment you stop hunting, you start decaying. This is the final push, the part of the journey where you keep pressing even though you've already won small battles, the part where you build empires instead of single victories. And this push is different from the beginning. In the early days, you ran on hope. Now you run on proof. You've seen what happens when you refuse to quit. You've felt the power of discipline turning into momentum. You've watched the world call it overnight, while you stood in the ashes of your old self, knowing exactly how long it took. The final push is not about survival. It's about domination. It's about showing up with the same hunger you had at the start, even though you've already eaten. Because the truth is, hunger isn't just something you feel. It's something you protect. If you let comfort in, hunger will fade. If you let celebration linger too long, the fire will dim. So you keep the fire alive. You feed it with new goals, new battles, new reasons to rise before the sun. You remember that the same discipline that built your first wall break is the discipline that will build your legacy. And in that final push, the battlefield feels different. You're no longer swinging wildly, hoping to hit something. Your strikes are precise. Your steps are deliberate. You've learned the terrain, the enemy, and yourself. That's the most dangerous version of you. The version that knows exactly what it takes and is willing to do it again, and again, and again. This is where legends are carved. Not in the first step, not in the first victory, but in the relentless march after everyone else has gone home. And when you finally pause, not to quit but to look back, you'll see the trail you've cut through the impossible. And you'll know there was nothing overnight about it. It was always link by link, until the chain could pull mountains. Tonight, when the noise fades, when the world dims, when no one is watching, You will face the quiet choice. It won't look like a battlefield. It won't feel like a grand decision. It will be small, almost forgettable. But this is the moment that matters, because the war for your future is fought in moments like these, when you can give in or give one more ounce, one more page read, one more push-up, one more line written, one more brick laid. Not tomorrow, not when I feel like it. Tonight, now. Do something for your future self before the sun rises again. Something so small it feels invisible. Something that seems like it could never matter. But it will. That one small act is another link in the chain, another drop of water on the stone, another whisper to the universe. I'm still here. We spend our lives waiting for the big breaks, the cinematic moments, the lightning strike. But lightning is rare. Life is shaped by the slow burn, by the constant grind, by the steady march. Every small choice is a seed. Your future self lives in the garden you plant today. Plant recklessly. Plant relentlessly. Plant without pause. Discipline is a love letter to your future self. Every rep, every early morning, every choice to show up when quitting is easier. It's all a gift sent forward in time. And one day, your future self will stand where you are now, and they will thank you. They will carry the weight you built, not to crush them, but to make them stronger. They will walk into rooms you once thought were locked. They will stand on stages you once thought were out of reach. They will hold in their hands the rewards you once only dreamed of. And they will know exactly how it happened. Not by chance, not by luck, not by miracle. It happened because you refused to break the chain, because you understood the battlefield law. You never lose if you never leave. They will look back across the years and see the nights you stayed in the fight, the mornings you rose when you didn't have to, the times you built instead of burned, and they will whisper, "You did this." The greatest victories are quiet. They are forged in silence. They are built in darkness before anyone knows your name. The ones who rise are not always the most talented. They are the ones who learn to love the process, to find beauty in repetition, to find pride in discipline, to find purpose in consistency. The process is not a punishment. It is the proving ground. The forge that shapes you into someone unrecognizable from who you were. The teacher that gives no shortcuts, no mercy, but rewards you with something no one can take away. And if you rise, strike by strike, there will come a day when you realize there is no limit left to chase. You have become the person who can start again from nothing and still win. That is real power. Not the trophy, not the applause. The power to build, the power to endure, the power to rise again and again and again. Tonight, don't let the day end without laying one more brick, even if it's crooked, even if it's small, even if no one will see it, because the wall is waiting. And one day soon it will fall. When doubt comes, when comfort whispers, when the weight feels too heavy, remember the code, remember the oath you took in silence. Remember, greatness is a daily verb, and little by little is not weakness. It is the most dangerous force in the world. One step, one strike, one choice. That's all you need tonight. Tomorrow, you'll do it again. The day after that, again. The day after that, again, until the world calls it overnight. And you smile, knowing the truth. You didn't rise overnight. You rose little by little. So here is your call, your command, your battle cry. Do one thing for your future self tonight. One thing that plants a seed. One thing that strengthens the chain. One thing that says, I am still in this fight. Every great story is built from small chapters. Every great victory is built from small wins. They'll call it luck. You'll know it as the 1,000 nights you chose again over enough. Now go. Add your again to the pile. Rise, little by little.